definition, the Jobs Act, intended to create jobs, right? But interestingly enough, it's also creating real opportunity for investors and startup businesses. Companies can now publicly advertise, this was part of the Jobs Act, that they're fundraising, which allows them then to raise capital much more quickly from a bigger pool of people. Our next guest, who usually hates regulation, likes this part of the Jobs Act, so much so that he's taking advantage of these new rules and is launching what he calls the Next Generation Investment Bank. Joining me now, Peter Schiff, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital. Hi, Peter. Okay, this is fascinating what you're doing here. Talk about what you're launching and how it came out of the Jobs Act.
Sure, but first of all, before we give the government too much credit here, what the Jobs Act did was it removed a lot of rules and regulations that never should have been imposed in the first place. So, I'll give the government credit for recognizing their mistakes, because that's, pretty rare in Washington. But what the government did is eliminate the rules that made it difficult for small businesses, for startup companies, to get the capital they need. I have a broker-dealer, Euro Pacific Capital, and if we wanted to help a small company raise capital, in the past, because of the government, we could only talk to our clients privately about it on the telephone. Now, because they got rid of some of these rules and regulations, we can advertise these deals on a much wider scale to accredited investors that we didn't know in advance.
So you've got something called digital offering. What is it? And explain how anybody watching right now who is accredited, and that's a definition in and of itself, can get involved in maybe taking a shot at investing in a startup.
Yeah. First of all, the government didn't remove all the regulations. You do have to be an accredited investor in order to participate. But digital offering is a brand new broker-dealer that's really going to act as a portal to put together entrepreneurs and companies that need cash with investors that have cash but are looking for opportunities to make more money. And they can do that through the digital offering website, which is digitaloffering.com. And anybody who's watching this program, if they go to that website, they can add their name to our list of accredited investors, and then they'll be able to view firsthand the companies that we are helping to provide financing for.
That's actually my next question.
Yeah.
What type of companies are you trying to find money for?
Well, all sorts of companies. I'm particularly partial to resource companies, maybe mining, energy companies, but there can be biotech companies there, technology companies, whatever company seems viable. If it has a market strategy and a business plan, and we could vet it and it looks promising,
so you
we
do
will
the vetting,
make those opportunities
Peter. You
available.
do the due diligence, because some even accredited investors are not particularly sophisticated, and they may say, hey, that sounds interesting. They put it in, and if the company goes belly up, are you then responsible?
Well, we're not responsible. We do the due diligence and we do the best that we can, but all of these investments are risky. When you fund a startup company, they don't always work. But the ones that do could pay for a lot of ones that don't. But there'll be virtual road shows that you can watch. There'll be analyst reports, and people can pick and choose from among startups the same way they do now with stocks. But, the difference is, think back to the Facebook days. And I know Facebook is, making new highs now, but there are a lot of people who are very upset who bought that IPO and watched the price plunge. But the real money was made by the guys that bought years earlier when it was still a company that very few people knew about. It's those ground floor opportunities that make investors a lot of money. A lot of times, by the time the average investor finds out about it, it's too late because the insiders are cashing out on an IPO. So what digital offering will do is allow the accredited investors the opportunity to take a look at these deals in their infancy and maybe invest early on so that they can cash out when there's an IPO.
And therein lies the opportunity of getting in early, but it's a risk, but there's sometimes a reward. Peter Schiff, thank you so much. He's the CEO of Euro Pacific Capital. The new organization, the new thing he's coming up with is called Digital Offering.